girl Fee Stefan here, and I am the host of Offbeat Black Girl Podcast, and we are in the building. Woo-hoo. All right, so this is our second episode. So congratulations to us. We have made it to the second episode. That is so exciting. I'm just beyond happy. I want to thank everyone for all the love that was received from the very first podcast episode. It was just overwhelming, the amount of love and support that came in. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. The emails that came in just talking about, how excited they were for, you guys were for the next episodes, how you related to a lot of things that I went through in my childhood. It was just absolutely amazing. And so I just want to thank everyone so much again from the bottom of my heart for all the love and support. And, I hope that I could be some type of, encouragement for others to really focus on communicating how you feel, communicating, your feelings and emotions, and being adamant on being heard. If you don't take anything else from this podcast, from me, is be an advocate for yourself. If nobody else is going to advocate for you, you want to be able to advocate for yourself. I want any woman listening to this podcast, if you're a man listening to this podcast, right? I don't care who you are or how you identify. I want you to be an advocate for yourself, to let people know that you will be heard. You will be heard, and you will not stand for any environment where your voice is silenced, where your opinion is silenced, where you are walking around feeling like what you think and how you feel doesn't matter. Absolutely not. We don't play those games over here. We don't play those games over here at Offbeat Black Girl Podcast, and we're not going to play those games out in the world. If you can't hear what I have to say, if you can't hear my opinion, if you don't value the words that are coming out of my mouth, the thoughts that are coming out of my head, I have no room for you in my life. And so that is the whole point of Offbeat Black Girl Podcast, as we said before, is to encourage those safe spaces for Black women and women of color to be able to have these real discussions about things that are going on in their lives. To not always have to put on this persona that I'm good, I'm okay, I'm great, I'm chilling, of course I'm good, why wouldn't I be good? For you to be real. And a lot of times you don't get that realness because that comfortability is not there. You don't have that safe space for you to say, I'm not okay. And so that is really what I'm going to push every single episode. I'm going to push that agenda because it needs to be heard. Now, with that being said, for me to get off my soapbox, actually it's a soapbox I'm going to stay on, but right now and get off of it, right? So, second episode, right? Number 2, we're going to be focusing on a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It's near and dear to my heart, right? And it's taking ownership of your own happiness, right? So that's what our focus is going to be on this second episode, is taking ownership of your own happiness. And I'm sure, we've all kind of heard this term before, right? That you have to be the catalyst. You have to be the reason you are happy, right? You can't rely on your friends to make you happy. You can't rely on your boyfriend to make you happy. You can't even at times rely on your children to make you happy, even though all these things are pieces of our happiness, right? All these things are layers to it. But that internal joy and love and self-worth, that happiness that comes from within, We have to have that, because at the end of the day, when all these other things are gone, all these other things are just not existent or not a part of your life anymore, you have to have that happiness within yourself, right? Or what are you gonna have? What are you gonna have? And the reason I'm saying this is because there, what happens is when you have all your happiness, right, rolled up into someone else, into something else, um, when those things are gone, when that person is gone, when that job is gone, when the opportunity is gone, right? What do you have? What do you have? If you allow your happiness to just be, centrally, internally with you, then you control it, right? You're not giving that control to someone else. You're not relying on something else to, manifest this happiness for you. And I think about it like this, right? So let's say all of your happiness, they say put all your eggs in one basket, right? So let's say you have all of your happiness in your job, right? And so every day you go to work and you're working, and you're always meeting your deadlines, and your boss is always telling you how amazing you're doing, your coworkers respect you, everything's so great, you're always employee of the month, employee of the quarter, employee of the year, right? And so all of your happiness is rolled into the success that you have in this job, and then the market crashes, right? So the market crashes and your company, now no longer exists, or it runs into financial issues and now it has to move the company overseas because it's cheaper, resources are cheaper, and so they're going to shut down everything that's here in the United States, and you are no longer employed. Now, not just the financial part of you having to find more work, or you figure out how you're going to sustain yourself, and obviously monetary, and feel like how you're going to take care of yourself, how you're going to take care of your family, but now all of your self-worth, your self-identity that came from this job is now gone, right? So that happiness that you once had that was all in this one thing is no longer there. And so what happens then, right? Now, we fall into this deep depression. Now we fall into, this downward spiral, because everything that we thought made up us, everything that we thought made up our happiness was all in this one thing, and it's gone, right? A lot of us try to put our happiness into another person, and that becomes an issue as well. Same thing with the job. When that person is no longer there, you think about it in relationships, whether those be platonic or romantic, but most of the time we see those in romantic relationships, right? Where we throw all of our happiness into our partners, right? We expect our partners to make us happy. We expect for our partners to know us and be able to think for us, and read our thoughts, and be able to make us happy. I might not be happy with myself, but this person can make me happy, whether that's by loving me or showering me with gifts or being thoughtful and kind and all this stuff. And so what happens when that person is no longer there, right? What happens when you don't have that person to create those moments of happiness for you? Okay? Same thing. You fall into this crisis of self-identity. You fall into this sunken place where I no longer know what makes me happy, because all of my happiness was rolled into this person. And that could be whether there was a breakup or a separation, or this person passed away, or whatever it is. So with that being said, you have to be able to find that happiness within yourself. I have to be able to figure out what makes Felicia happy with Felicia. What do I like about feet? What do I like about me? right? Because if I don't know what I like about me, if I don't have any type of self-worth within myself, and I'm just relying on it from this job, from my kids, from my work, from my volunteering, from whatever it is, at the end of the day, when I'm left with nothing but me, and me is not enough, we have a problem. We have a problem when just you isn't enough to make you happy. When just you isn't enough, that's a problem, right? And I dealt with that for so long, but I didn't realize it, right? I had no clue. I had no clue that I did that. And it took me hitting rock bottom to realize I didn't have enough in me. I didn't have enough happiness and self-worth within myself to sustain myself when all those other external factors were gone. That was a lot to deal with. That was a lot to deal with for me, and I didn't think I would make it out of that situation. Um, so a little backstory, right? And there's been a lot of situations, unfortunately, where I did not have self worth. I did not have enough self worth, put it like that. Um, or I didn't even know where to begin to find it, right? So I threw it all into other people and other things. But during this particular time in my life, I was battling an illness and cancer. I had cancer and I was going through chemo. So my internal body was taking a beating, just fighting the illness itself, dealing with chemo symptoms, my hair falling out, just feeling frail and just feeling just so beat down, you know. Also during this time, I found myself in a physically and emotional abusive relationship, right? So I was dealing with my partner being physically abusive to me. And so not only was I dealing with, my body taking a beating on the inside from this illness I'm trying to fight, and taking a beating from this chemo that's supposed to be helping me but make me feel like shit, also, I'm dealing with this man that's beating my body on the outside, right? So I'm just taking it everywhere. And also during this time, I was in a DSS situation with my children where my home was violent. It wasn't a safe space. And so my children were removed from my home. And anybody that knows me, my children are my life. They're my reason for existing. They are my motivation for literally everything. And so they were removed from my home. And while that was definitely the best move for them, and I have differing opinions, on that particular situation, but, looking back on it, that was the best situation for them. And, that's what I needed to happen in order for me to find the motivation to leave that situation for sure. But, at that time, it was like I'm getting up and I'm pushing through these problems in my relationship, and I'm getting up every day and I'm fighting this cancer and I'm going to chemo and I'm doing all this stuff so I can be around for my babies, right? And at this time, I woke up one day and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't have the energy to do this anymore. I'm tired. I am tired. I'm whatever word is higher and more and stronger and can nail the message home even more than tired. That's what I was. That's what I was. Um, I didn't want to live. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be here. I had no motivation to change my situation. I had no will to fight this illness. I just don't have it. You know, whatever I thought I was doing was for my kids. My kids were the center of my happiness through all this, awfulness that was around me. My children were my only source of happiness. I didn't have it within myself. I didn't have the self-worth and the self-love and any of that strength that I needed within myself to say I need to remove myself in the situation because I don't deserve the situation. So I didn't have that, right? But I had my babies, right? And so they were my motivation to get up every day and to keep performing. Even if I was getting up every day in this bad situation, one that I wouldn't change for myself, you know, I was just like, I'm gonna get up and try for them, right? So when they were taken from me, which by the way, this happened 2017, so we were reunited in 2018, and they went to my mom, and I got a divorce and in remission and all that's good. I do want to say that. I go on record saying that, right? But going back to the situation, um, because my children were my source of happiness, my singular sole source of happiness during this time, and they were gone. At this point, I have no reason to do this thing called life anymore. I have no reason to fight this cancer. I have no reason to do anything about the situation I'm in, with this partner that I'm with. I have no reason to get up in the morning. I have no reason to eat. I have no reason to take my medicine. I have no reason to do anything because my sole source of happiness was gone. But I can't keep using my children as a scapegoat. I can't keep using them as motivation. Now, I'm not saying that to say they're not my motivation. I'm not saying that, right? What I'm saying is they can't be my sole motivation. They can't be my sole source of happiness. Number one, that's a lot of unnecessary pressure to put on these little people. Like you have to make me happy. You are the reason that I'm happy, right? That's a lot of pressure to put on anybody, especially children. That's not fair to them to have to make their mom. That's not fair, right? So I had to find whatever self-worth was in Felicia to be like, I want to change these circumstances for me. I want better for me. I need better for me, for Fee, for her. That is what I mean, right? Because now that my sole source of happiness is gone, my children, now that your job is gone, now that your partner is gone, now that your friendship is over, now that you don't have this home anymore, this opportunity anymore, or whatever it is, now that these things are no longer in place, now I have nothing. Now I have no reason to do anything, right? I don't have a reason to get up. I don't have a reason to eat. I don't have a reason to push myself. I don't have a reason to do better. It can't be that way. And I had to teach myself that. Number one, in order to be the best version I can be for my mom, as a mom, right? As a mom, as a sister, as a friend, as a partner, as anything else, I have to be the best version of myself. In order to be the best version of myself, I cannot put the responsibility of my happiness on someone else. It's not fair. This is my self-worth. This is my self-esteem. This is my happiness. So why should the job of continuing to make myself happy, make myself a priority, make myself worthy be on someone else? Because at the end of the day, nobody knows what I need. Like I know what I need, right? Nobody knows what I want. Like I know what I want. And I had to learn that. And unfortunately, I had to learn that the hard way. And that sucks. That sucks that was the case. Some of us are, they can read things, read other people's, testimonies and experiences, or see things or hear about it. And that's enough for them to do different, right? And I unfortunately was one of those people, and probably still am, as a hard head, and have to learn through experience. And I'm hoping that a lot of my experiences will be teaching moments for my children, so they don't have to go through a lot of the hardships that I went through. But yeah, it was a tough moment for sure. Tough moment for myself. But even with that tough moment, right, I had to learn that I am the keeper of my own happiness. I have to take ownership of my own happiness. And in doing so, right, here's the crazy part. Well, not crazy, but here's the important part, right? If I am the keeper of my own happiness, then nobody can take that away from me, right? If I have the key, to the lock for the box that holds my happiness, nobody can take that from me. Nobody, right? This job, my boss can't take my happiness away from me, and even this job is no longer an option for me. This man or this woman cannot take my happiness away from me in the event this relationship doesn't work, right? In the event this opportunity doesn't work, I can still have my self-worth. I can still have my happiness. This relationship doesn't work, I still have my happiness. My kids are grown and gone and have their own life, and they're flourishing, and I'm maybe by myself with cats or whatever. That's okay, because my motivation and my happiness is not from them. It's from me. It's from me, right? It's me. I've taken ownership of my own happiness. I haven't dumped that responsibility, that heavy responsibility on somebody else. And when we realize that, right, you realize that you have ownership of your own happiness. It's almost like a power, right? It's almost like a superpower, right? I am in charge of my own happiness. That's a superpower. That's something to be proud of. I am in charge. This is me. I handle this. There's a lot of things in my life that I cannot control. There's so many people in my life that I cannot control, right? I can control me. I can control my emotions. I can control my feelings. I can control how I react to certain things, and I can control my happiness, how I feel about me, how I feel about Fee. And when that moment came, there's nothing like it. There was nothing like it. When I had that realization, there was nothing like it. And that changed the game for me. That as much as you want to try to control how I feel about me, you can't, right? When that happens, no one's opinion of you can affect you. You can feel how you want to feel about me, honey. I control my happiness. I control what I think about me, right? And that's real power. So remember, take ownership of your own happiness. Figure out what it is that motivates you, right? Figure out what makes you happy. Figure out what builds your self-worth, your opinion of yourself. Take ownership. Grab it by the horns, right? Grab those reins. Take ownership of your own happiness so that you can control that. And nobody else can take that away from you. No one else, no other situation can take that away from you. So with that being said, that is going to conclude our second episode of Offbeat Black Girl Podcast. Again, my name is Fee. If you have any questions, any comments, any inquiries, anything that you would like, any topics you would like to hear, that may be aligned or parallel with my own self-healing journey, feel free to contact me at offbeatblackgirl@gmail.com. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next Friday. Bye now.